Hello, and welcome to the Uniswap and Porto live stream. We're very excited to be here today. This is the first one that I've been a part of at my time at Anchorage Digital. So a quick intro to get things started. My name is Justin Brill. I'm the head of revenue here. I've been at the firm for 6 months. Super impressed with everything that's been going on, and thought I'd give a quick bit of background on myself and my journey into crypto, and then turn things over to our esteemed guests. So I've been in crypto for 4.5 years. I was previously at Jump Crypto, and prior to that, was on the TradFi side of the business in banking for a bunch of years. And my journey started, honestly, when you're on the traditional finance side. Pretty much every product that you can trade is highly restricted with holding periods, sign-offs, all sorts of things like that. So that was, wanting to trade, wanting more exposure to the markets. I took that DeFi journey in 2017, 2018. And the first time I created a wallet and started understanding the power of decentralized finance, Uniswap was the first platform that I used. And it just opened up an entire new world for me. And that's really when I started my path towards working in the industry full time. And it's just been amazing to see the growth of the space, of the traditional players coming into the arena, as well as the true cutting edge folks like Uniswap building an incredible platform. And just it's such an amazing moment where these worlds are colliding. So I guess with that in mind, there was a recent announcement that came out about a super exciting integration that's been happening between Anchorage Digital and Uniswap. We recently launched a new integration with their trading API, and now users of Porto, our institutional grade self-custody wallet, can execute token swaps directly within the Porto web dashboard. So this enhancement is really enabling, for the first time, institutional DeFi users to seamlessly access Uniswap liquidity, as well as the security of Porto's interface. So to break it down further, we've got two very special guests. We have Boaz, the head of product and one of the founding engineers at Anchorage Digital, and Drew Turchin, the head of business development at Uniswap. So with that, lads, why don't you take it away? It'd be amazing to let you introduce yourselves and share a bit more about how we got here today. So Boaz, would you mind kicking us off?
Thanks, Justin. Hey, everybody. I'm Boaz Avital. I'm the head of product at Anchorage Digital, and a part of the founding team. We started in 2017 to bring custody, digital asset custody, the right way, the safe and secure way, to institutions who really need it. It's been a long journey from then. We started with this idea that institutions really need a safe and familiar interface that's run by real security engineers and a real technology company with a real regulated background in order to really get into this new mainstreamize this new digital asset space. Where we are now is the institutions have come. I think we've freaking made it. That's incredible. And now we're in this next step of the journey, which is institutions need to come in full force to DeFi. And we're on taking those steps right now, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. And I guess what kind of feedback have you received so far regarding this integration? I know you like to get into the weeds still.
Folks love it. They're really excited to be able to seamlessly use Uniswap. Um, Connecting to DeFi apps is still a little bit of a operational extra overhead for these institutions. And institutional users are just users. They're just people. They're not that different from consumers like you and me. And so they want things to be easy and well integrated. Actually, the stakes are even higher because they got to make sure all that stuff shows up exactly right and in exactly the safe way because it's oftentimes not their money they're trading, it's somebody else's. So institutions absolutely love any way that we can better integrate amazing blue chip DeFi like Uniswap into the platform.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess, Drew, just to turn it over to you now, can you just share for everybody how you ended up at Uniswap and how you got involved in the crypto space originally, too?
Yeah, absolutely. And Boaz, that was an excellent way to kick it off. But yeah, I'm Drew Turchin. I'm the head of business development at Uniswap Labs. I joined the company about 11 months ago to come spearhead a number of different businesses. One of them is our external trading API business, which effectively packages the swapping technology and LPing technology that powers all the Uniswap consumer apps that have been, at the top of the market for the last 5 years, and have a specific focus on distributing that to the institutional space. When we had the opportunity to potentially partner with Anchorage, we were very excited about the opportunity. Anchorage, one of the top tier custody providers in the space, has already engendered, a lot of institutional trust, and I think it'll be a great partnership going forward. Prior to Uniswap, spent most of my time on the institutional side of crypto as running the lending and derivatives desk at Ledden, based up in Toronto, and initially got my start in the space at Galaxy Digital in late 2020. I was on a strategic solutions team, which was kind of function as a special situations business development team. We helped stand up their project token market making business, the validator as a service business, and I did a lot on the treasury solutions front for protocol foundations and treasuries on derivatives, lending, and the like. Prior to that, was in the traditional finance world, just like Justin. 6 years of rates and FX derivative solutions for project finance and corporate clients, and then 2 years of M&A investment banking. So I've seen a lot of the institutional landscape, and it's been a journey to get here.
Okay, thanks so much for that. And I guess back over to you, Boaz. What have you seen are some of the biggest misconceptions that you hear for institutions exploring DeFi?
I hear a lot of people basically think that institutions are not ready, not interested. Uh, in reality, if you're coming here into the digital asset space as an institution, you want to take full advantage of everything that's available to you, including, of course, new pools of liquidity and new and easier ways to be on the forefront of executing within the digital asset space. So the number one thing that we're working on with institutions is making them feel comfortable in every way. There's many different things that an institution as a whole organization with all these competing factors needs to get comfortable with. It starts at the top with safety and security, it then goes to operational ease, it then goes to compliance, and being able to audit and follow through with the things that you did and understand that you're allowed to do the things that you're doing, and on down the line. What we're doing by integrating more things into Anchorage, and in this case into Anchorage's self-custody wallet, Porto, which is our software version of the amazing Anchorage platform that we've been building for the last 7 years, that institutions are already comfortable with, are already using to bridge their existing regulated custody activity into the DeFi space. We are taking steps down that path to make them even more comfortable using DeFi that they want to use and are interested to use from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I've seen that myself, and we've been talking about how we're going to onboard the next million, the next billion. Just the number keeps increasing. So I guess what challenges as well as opportunities, Drew, do you see about related to increasing that institutional participation in the entire Uniswap ecosystem?
Yeah, I don't think it's specific to the Uniswap ecosystem, but I think, from what we've heard from the institutions that we talk to on a daily basis is it's a lot around, compliance and security, and then also just comfort with like the existing centralized infrastructure that a lot of institutions have started to use. I mean, a lot of people just really haven't, dipped their toe into DeFi, or, haven't really understood, much about, decentralized liquidity that's on chain. So there's some common misconceptions about centralized exchanges having the best liquidity, or OTC desks having the best liquidity, for some different asset pairs. And we've come a long way in terms of growing, decentralized liquidity on chain. From a compliance perspective, we hear issues about wanting to delve into the permissionless world. So there are some, forthcoming solutions on potential permission liquidity pools in the future with the advent of a Uniswap v4, and different customizability that you can do there for different real world assets, or just wanting to silo liquidity. And then working on the security aspect. I mean, integrations like this, helping institutional users. One of the big issues that we heard when we first started talking to the Anchorage team is that some clients didn't want to, connect to external front ends, or were having issues connecting to external front ends. Making it more of a seamless, integration, and just having access to institutional grade trade execution, I think will go a long, long way.
Haven't
Yeah.
there been some days, Drew, where Uniswap liquidity has surpassed centralized exchange liquidity in a lot of places?
Yeah, trading volumes have been comparable. I mean, generally it hovers in like the 20 to 25% range, which is pretty good because the centralized exchange landscape is pretty expansive and pretty global. But I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the liquidity depth on chain, and especially through some of like the intent-based systems that you see on chain that have started to loop some of the professional, prominent market makers on chain, you can get, basically the same execution and, effectively faster settlement. So yeah, it's a constantly evolving space.
Yeah. And I guess, Boaz, just to build on that point, knowing that, I've heard our co-founder Nathan talk about how the total addressable market for Anchorage is everyone in crypto, and that number continues to go up, right? So, how does this integration align with our broader vision for adoption, both DeFi and then more broadly across custody, staking, trading, every piece of the pie?
The thing I really like about the way that we've built Anchorage is we exist as the gateway between traditional institutions or even now increasingly non-traditional institutions. We have a ton of protocols on the platform. We have a ton of new and startup companies on the platform. Basically, protocol companies are the new startups and the new small businesses in the world. We exist as that bridge to make it easy for you to take your operations and the things you want to do and do them both on chain and off chain, wherever it is that makes the most sense for you. So for us, integrating things like Uniswap and DeFi, and we're going to continue to integrate all the new and amazing functionalities and features that come out, allows us to give users this like one easy interface into all the possible things that they need. As we continue to onboard more and more of the crypto ecosystem, every single institution, every single company, every single treasury, every single protocol company, uh, comes to Anchorage to get the things done that they want to get done without having to think about security, without having to think about whether they're in the right regulatory perimeter, without having to think about if there's anything is wrong, is there someone to reach out to help? People love the support that we give. That's our role in this space. And then we can bridge all of those people into everything that's available in the digital asset space, all on-chain interactions, including DeFi, including Uniswap, including every kind of staking, including a ton of other stuff that's available that's constantly coming out. So this is a supernatural step on our path to making sure that everybody can just use crypto without having to be a complete and total expert on every single little transaction and thing that comes through the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, when I think about the genesis of DeFi really starting with the quote unquote degens who still power a lot of the new innovations that are coming in crypto, but the space has really grown up a lot. So I'd imagine that the customer profile that you've seen, Drew, of those using Uniswap has changed quite a bit. So have you seen any differentiation in some of the challenges of attracting and retaining and making the value proposition compelling for this new class of client that you're increasingly interacting with?
Yeah, I mean it's no longer 2020 and 2021 anymore. People expect a lot more, especially as you've seen the traditional world. You've seen services like Robinhood and others really step their game up and make the experiences seamless, easy to access, easy to understand. So on the retail side of things, it's really been trying to keep pace with that, and we've done a really good job of that. On the institutional side, I think it really goes back to familiarity with the TradFi world, and having been there
Mm-hmm.
for quite some time. When you're executing trades, you expect to be able, whether it's from a fiduciary standpoint or just comfort in the way that you execute trades, having the ability to issue TWAP orders, VWAP orders, limit order functionality across the board, the ability to LP at points, the ability to earn yield, and yeah, just making sure that you get the best trade execution. And so, yeah, building protocols like UniswapX that function alongside our smart order routing on 14 different access to assets on 14 different EVM chains. UniswapX is live on 4 chains, including mainnet, Base, Arbitrum, and Unichain. It basically, when you go to issue an order for your quote pair and your size, it effectively gets bid out to a network of solvers on the back end, which include some of the prominent market makers that people are very familiar with in the industry, alongside some on-chain, competent folks that, are just good at aggregating liquidity and have some different ways of routing trades. But I think what it really, gives you access to on-chain is the ability for, for some market makers with inventory and OTC desks and, people that see liquidity from different sides of the market, whether they're, market making for projects or whatnot. Being able to use private inventory and being able to hedge that out on exchanges really offers, quite the value proposition, just alongside accessing, only DEX liquidity. Yeah, it's interesting when you're talking to institutions and say something about aggregating DEX liquidity, they're like, wow, what is that? But if you say, pseudonymous OTC process or RFQ process, light bulb instantly goes off. So it's making it more relatable, but also making sure that the product features are there, and we're steadily working on shipping those.
Yeah, and you're doing an incredible job. The roadmap is just jam packed with exciting stuff. I know you'll continue to deliver more and more. Boaz, back over to you. I mean, there's certainly a lot of options out there for wallets, dApps. Users probably can be overwhelmed at times. I guess, can you just delineate a little bit the benefits that a user would get interacting and trading directly within Porto as opposed to some of these external dApps?
Yeah, of course. One of the things that was super important to us with Porto was that we extend an interface and an interaction model for institutions that they're already comfortable with Anchorage Digital as a custodian into a self-custody space. People have been using us for years. We were the gold standard essentially in how folks interact with their crypto, stake their crypto, use it on chain, wherever possible. When it comes to DeFi access, some things we can't do from within the regulated custodian. Not yet, at least. We'll see how the next few years pan out. In the meantime, those customers are all already doing those things. And what that forced them to do was go out, find different solutions that are fragmented, that change the way that they work, that change the things that they're comfortable with. And especially really difficult for these institutions is changes their security model. So when we launched Porto, we launched something that was exactly the similar security model as we have with Anchorage, which is that your keys, when they are signed, go through your policy engine that is tied to your cryptographic approvals on your devices, your cryptographic devices in your hand, and only when it goes through those cryptographic assurances inside of a policy engine that's inside of a hardware security module that's offline at all times is the key actually constructed in a way where it can sign a transaction. This is what we've been doing since day one. This is what we call the new and fast kind of cold storage that nobody else has been able to achieve. By doing that, and by doing that with a self-custody model on top of it, where you always have control, you can always own your keys. It's your assets that are not in full custody of Anchorage that are always yours, which is the way self-custody always works and has to work. By doing it that way, we have constructed a thing that is completely comfortable and completely familiar for our customers. And when they go and they say, oh, I have this completely familiar interface, and now I can use it to interact not just through, directly on dApp interfaces, which of course they can do, but natively within the product, the same way they're used to natively interacting within the product with other Anchorage services. What we're doing is expanding this perimeter, expanding the ability of our customers to naturally and easily do things. And look, we have tens of billions of dollars of assets sitting in custody and in security across the entire suite of Anchorage platform products. That is assets that are looking to gain more yield, to do more participation, to work better in the ecosystem. By implementing this kind of thing into Porto, we're able to guide those assets into a place where they can be more productive, can get what they want, and can make these institutional customers, these enterprise customers, these folks that are honestly just want to operate in a grown-up way, not with a hot wallet, not with like a bunch of hardware wallets that are in their desks somewhere around the world, but in a real mature battle tested way that's been working for years with all the billions of dollars of assets that are in this space that are already on Anchorage with these new DeFi protocols and with these sort of existing and trusting DeFi protocols. That's what we built, and that's why it's so important for us to be able to guide all of this existing assets into a place where it can be used and be even more useful, because that's what people want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I still remember, being like, wait, I have to write this 12 or 24 word phrase down on a piece of paper. I can't screenshot it. I can't back it up anywhere. I just have to bury it in a hole in the ground or a safety deposit box like that. That's not how we're going to get to the scale that we need to. And of course, it's amazing as an employee to have a free Anchorage Digital account, which I utilize. I also utilize Porto, different things.
Me too.
And I've just been blown away. So that's where I would just encourage everyone, just like the first step is downloading it and trying. Like, whatever we say on this space isn't going to be as powerful as interacting and using this integration yourself. I've been super impressed with the UX and how simple it is to get up and running. So Drew, you touched on this a little bit, and I don't know, how much detail you're willing to go into, but in terms of the next steps and what lies ahead as you think about the second half of 2025 and beyond, what's next? How do we keep the momentum going, whether it's institutional support or just crypto industry support generally? What's top of mind for you?
It's a great question. I think I harped, a bit on the product feature map. So shipping some more different trading execution patterns, continually updating the LP experience for institutions. There's a couple of people in the industry that have done a good job, but we continue to make it more palatable for institutions. The other big thing, and you hear the buzzword a lot, but RWAs, tokenization, have a number of different things, coming in the pipeline in the back half of the year. Working with different asset issuers, and I think it's a really interesting part of part of the crypto economy that people don't always focus on is that it's inherently very global, and the global distribution leads you to places, like Latin America and APAC, where people don't have the best access to banking services or the ability to purchase, stocks or other assets that, us in the US have the privilege of doing pretty easily through any standard brokerage like Fidelity or Robinhood. And so basically making those assets more widely distributed for asset issuers, but also giving people globally the ability to buy, sell those assets, and also just with the power and composability of DeFi, ultimately one day be able to use them as collateral within lending markets, within perpetual futures markets, and a couple of other different things related to your traditional financial services. So a lot of very exciting things on the roadmap for later in the year.
Yeah, I always say that if there's someone who is normie who isn't in crypto at all and says, I don't really get it. Like, why do I need this? And I'd say if you didn't live in a developed first world country, it would make a lot more sense to you right off the bat, where there's been less stabilization, more currency devaluations, all those sorts of things. Prior to crypto, I was in FX.
Yep, same.
Foreign exchange. And yeah, it was funny when we were preparing for this and getting to know each other, seeing how many mutual connections we had. And I do get a little bit of a sense of deja vu from 10, 15 years ago of where the crypto market is. And, there used to be literally people clicking night traders arbing between different venues. And now the spreads
Yep.
have compressed and folks have more access. And, it's happening. The snowball has started rolling down the hill faster and faster.
Yeah. Financial Twitter has, been talking about dollar devaluation, but people in emerging markets have caught on to this game like 10, 15 years ago. And so every time you get your paycheck, buy stablecoins, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, buy anything that will, go up against your denominator. It's People have caught on to it faster than people in the US.
Yeah. And trying to time the market, always dangerous. Scheduled buys, dollar cost averaging. I mean,
Yep.
we've seen it work. It's really it's not necessarily rocket science,
Yep.
but some of it is, not that part of it. And thankfully, we have super smart engineers like Boaz helping to build that. So I guess with that in mind, and knowing that things are continuously changing, I guess in your mind, Boaz, when is the right time to really double down? Are we there? Are there other critical developments that are on the horizon that you think need to play out first? What sort of moment are we at?
This year especially, and I'm even more excited for next, is going to be an incredible inflection point for crypto. Inflection point for crypto in the US, and as a result, I think because of the ability to mainstream that with more activity, an point for crypto around the world. It's our time right now to make sure that as treasuries are coming in, as new individuals are coming in, as larger institutions are coming in, as wealth managers are coming in, and they're coming in large numbers and in force, we make as much of the benefits, true and differentiated benefits of digital assets available to them as possible. For us at Anchorage, we're going to keep working to integrate new and better kinds of DeFi into the platform. There's a ton more very institutionally focused UniswapX features that we're going to continue to add into Porto in the near term. There's a ton of new outreach that we can do to make sure that everybody who knows that they need access to digital assets or wants to explore access to digital assets can do that easily, especially through Porto, our self-custody wallet. And there's, a lot of fighting to do to make sure that digital assets get to be in their place in the world where they get to show off the benefits without any of the noise so that we can do the right thing for individuals who just want easy, better, permissionless access to the financial economy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super salient points. Thank you. Drew, I guess you touched on tokenization as a broad theme, and there are some memes out there. Tokenize everything. I guess something that I've just heard top of mind, and something that I know has a number of interested participants, is specific to the equities space. I guess, do you have any thoughts on that more broadly? Do we need 24/7 trading of stocks? Is that something that you've thought about? Is that more outside Uniswap's remit? I think that's something that just, when I look at those outside of crypto, they tend to go there first.
Yeah, I think I'll opine on it just from like a personal lens and just like looking at the existing landscape. I don't want to name like any like issuers specifically. I think the most interesting version of the tokenized equities have been like the canonical issuances versus basically stuff that sits offshore in custody and is like a touch over collateralized and really just a representation where you don't have really any of the rights that you do traditionally. So there's a couple issuers that have been, working on that and working on bringing starting with like some crypto native issuers to market, but then, ultimately, like in the future, it'd be really interesting to see, some of your highly valued, private companies come and raise capital on chain, with the, canonical versions of their public equity. I guess on the market structure side, yeah, I think keeping up with the Robinhoods of the world would be great to start having, 24/5 markets because people do like to trade these, assets aftermarket. Do we need them to trade 24/7, 365? Maybe not to start, but I think traditional markets are starting to, understand. They're kind of taking some learnings from the crypto economy, right? We moved from T+2
Mm.
settle to T+1 settle, almost, caused some frictions in the regular markets, and you have people like Robinhood who are offering 24/5 and kind of pushing the boundaries there. I wouldn't be surprised if they just continue with the crypto trend, and one day we're at 24/7, and then the assets that are on chain in crypto, maybe the 24/7 perceives that, and then traditional world ultimately moves there at some point, and yeah, maybe there's no weekends anymore. But yeah, I think the really interesting unlock is, as I mentioned earlier, it's just assuming that we can get the structure right, just having the composability in DeFi, like being able to, have access to services that are really only, available to people with, net worths above, 10 million, going to your private banker and getting a loan against, stocks and different assets. So it's just continuing to democratize access to assets and services. And yeah, we hope to play a big role in that.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to turn back a little bit to the security side of things, Boaz, but I didn't know if you had any more thoughts on tokenization first.
I mean, I'm incredibly excited for tokenization. Since the beginning of Anchorage, we knew that was one of the biggest benefits to the world that we can do and to the rails of the financial system. I don't think people who live outside of the financial system, especially ones who live in first world countries, understand what a mess it all is behind the scenes. If there's technical folks watching, it's basically layers of databases on top of databases on top of databases, all that aren't very good at talking to each other, all that are human reconciled every single day and double over the weekend. It's kind of a mess. And having these new ways to have a basically global coordination through blockchain, even if you want to call it just a database, it's like a big old trustless database everyone can agree on. That helps us a lot to get into this space where things just work better and work more efficiently. The interesting human side of this is that I'm kind of on the maybe a little reversed from Drew's opinion. I think tokenization of assets is going to come first, and then 24/7 is going to come. A big part of that is that settlement is a really hard problem. Somebody has to somehow settle those assets. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to do an ACATS transfer. It's like takes days and it's a pain in the butt to like move your equities from, your whatever it is, your Schwab account to your Robinhood account. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's mistakes and then you have to message them and whatever. So there's a lot that has to happen in terms of the technology to make that better. The other interesting thing about this is that 24/7 puts different kinds of strains on the businesses themselves. People are awake trading at different times in the US than they are in Singapore, than they are in Australia, than they are in London, and around the world. If all the markets, and then they have these weird windows, right? That's why going down T+2, T+1 becomes harder and harder when you're, interacting across globally. Making all of this work on a settlement layer that's crypto is going to make that a lot easier. But then you're in this space where like you can't really have a local financial company. Every company has to be a 24/7 global financial company. That's going to be a restructuring that we have to think about. Anchorage is a 24/7 company. We work around the world. We don't really have a option. We have to do that because that's how these markets work.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. A little bit of a dissenting opinion. I like that. You can't always agree on everything,
I think
but
I think it's well said. And Justin and I, coming from the banking background, like you should see how much of a disaster it is on the trade settlement side, especially in the OTC businesses. It's wild to watch the
yeah,
reconciliation, and I can't believe any bank can get like a full audit of everything that goes on under the hood.
It's
It's
unreal.
miraculous.
It
yeah.
is.
Sometimes, yeah, it seems like they make money in spite of themselves. And even in my, 4 or 5 years in crypto, have seen us come a long way from back offices operating async on Telegram chats to much more sophisticated real time systems. So it's in motion, and it's exciting to see. Okay, so pivoting back a little bit to the security side, knowing we'll probably have viewers across the spectrum of sophistication. Um, let's just talk generally about what some of the best practices are for security, for making sure that you are protecting your assets. It's certainly a big responsibility. So, what advice would you give? Um, I guess, Drew, we'll turn it over to you first. When you were thinking about what would you tell somebody who was new to the space to make sure that they were doing the right thing?
Sorry, can you repeat? I kind of cut out a little bit on the first part of the question.
Yeah, I think just best practices in security. If you were new to DeFi, I made the joke about burying a piece of paper with your
Yeah,
with
you
your,
should probably keep your seed phrase in your head. But yeah, I think the best practices, I mean, try to find different wallet infrastructure that kind of mimics the integration that we've done with Anchorage. I think it's a bit safer to use kind of native swapping experiences and native earn products and native LP products, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, making sure that you're not always connected to, if you do access apps outside of a native integration, just making sure that you always disconnect and always run like revoke cache, and just making sure that you keep security top of mind. And then yeah, on the custody side, it really depends. Everybody's got a preference on the way that they custody their assets. Making sure that you have multiple multiple ways that you backed up your seed phrase on self custody devices. or try to try to move your custody services to something like Porto if you can, or something similar, where you have underlying security, and you're leveraging some of the best experts in the industry, on the custody side.
Mm-hmm. And Boaz, I'm sure, the DNA of Anchorage is being founded by security engineers, something we think about every single day. Do you have anything to add on that front?
When I talk to people about security, I try to encourage them to think about the three different stages. Sometimes they think about one or the other. The three stages are how you basically set up your account, we call it create your keys, right? Depending on what kind of custody you're using. Where you store those keys, that's usually what people think about when they think about security. And then how you use those keys, which is actually the most um, uh, common area of attack nowadays, hijacking how keys are used. At Anchorage, we take as much responsibility as we possibly can for the safety of your assets. That's why we exist. We make sure that everything if you're using a regulated Anchorage custodian, is fully and completely managed by us, and you don't have to worry about anything. And then we even behind the scenes help you review those transactions. With Porto as a self-custody wallet, we wanted to make sure that customers had an experience that was not all of a sudden like sending you off into the wild, and good luck, and it's your responsibility. This is a software that we're selling to you that we're trying to make sure makes you as safe as possible, in the same way that we think about that in Anchorage. That means that when you're setting up, we're not giving you this very scary moment where you have one set of words on your screen, or you have like a full copy of like an MPC shard like that you're downloading, that you're not a technical person, so you don't really understand what it is that you're doing, and you have to like do something with it, or else you're not sure what's going to happen. Because we're set up for institutions, what we try to do is make sure that we distribute responsibility from moment one, that we have multiple different types of backups, none of which are sensitive on their own. I could literally publish one of my key backup shard documents, or my or something like that I get from Porto onto the internet, and I would feel just as safe, because no one thing that we give you in order to make sure that you have an easy setup experience is sensitive. And you separate those out, and then you just get to use us on a day-to-day basis. Step one is giving you a setup experience that you can understand, you don't have to be afraid about. Step two is where it's stored. And like I said, your keys are not sitting out in memory somewhere on a hot server. They're not accessed in a way that is reliant on hot database entries that can be manipulated. Your keys are stored in the same exact way that they're stored when we store them with Anchorage Digital Custody. And then the last step is using it. And there's so many tools for using your assets correctly. We give you permission controls to make sure that the right people approve those assets. Like I said, those keys can't be accessed unless you have cryptographic user key approval from multiple different people. And finally, we build these integrations to make sure that you not only know exactly what it is that you're doing, because we do something like an in-product Uniswap integration, but we also simulate those transactions for you so you can anticipate what might happen. We help you flag things that you might be doing that you might not intend to be doing, and a ton of more things that are coming on the way to make sure that customers always feel safe. Safety is number one. If people don't feel safe storing $1,000, $100,000, $1,000,000, $1 billion with Anchorage, then this industry is never going to go anywhere.
Wow. Okay. That was a lot to digest. I wish I was taking notes during that. It's a good thing we're recording it. Okay. So, we said we're going to go for about 45 minutes. We're coming up on time here. Bitcoin making fresh all-time highs yesterday. Enthusiasm is high. Anchorage and many other institutions in the space hiring at an incredible pace. I think if you looked at the Anchorage Digital website, we've got maybe 100 openings just in my revenue organization. We need salespeople. We need traders. We need all kinds of people. The growth in the industry is just insane. So I guess just more generally, outside of everything we've talked about, what is the most exciting thing on the horizon when you think top of mind in crypto? What gets you the most fired up, Drew, when you wake up every day ready to go to work? It doesn't have to be Uniswap specific, but just the thing that's got you the most jacked up in the space.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole another 45 minutes on this. We could do part of it on the Uniswap ecosystem and then everything outside it. Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to the institutionalization of the space and just becoming, more legitimate in the eyes of, traditional finance and more users, and just being able to, grow the pie and also just continue to. It's exciting to just see not just, Uniswap and Anchorage, but a lot of the leading companies in the industry just producing products that are just, so tangible for retail and institutions alike, and just being able to onboard new users, especially in the United States, because we've already seen a good amount of onboarding in emerging markets, but continuing to just grow the pie, especially in the U.S. and bring traditional capital markets on chain, I think is the most exciting thing I see. And yeah, again, happy Bitcoin all-time high day to this to celebrate. It doesn't seem like everybody celebrates.
Fantastic. And yeah, Boaz, same one for you.
Of course, so many things to choose from. I'll just say that um, I think stablecoins are the first killer app, maybe second killer app after Bitcoin store of value when it comes to blockchain. And we are at the precipice right now. Um, I can't I can't overstate what a big deal it is that stablecoin legislation that's imminently passing is the first real digital asset legislation in this country, and the first and of many ways that we are fully legitimizing crypto and digital assets as a part of our economy and a part of the way we work. That's a huge deal. It's going to be an incredible unlocker, I think, in a way that most consumers don't really realize, because consumers sort of get to do what they like to do without thinking too much about what the overall regulatory market structure is. Um, Stablecoins are going to be a big deal, and there's going to be a lot more coming about them. One thing that I think is really cool about Porto that you get to use with Uniswap is if you're holding something like Global Dollar USDG on Porto, you can get stablecoin rewards into your self-custody wallet. That kind of thing is exactly what we should continue to see in the ecosystem as everything as this whole space evolves.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with everything you just said here. And thank you guys both so much for the time. It was really, really a pleasure to host. One final plug as we are commemorating this exciting launch between Uniswap Labs and Porto. We're offering fee-free swaps for a limited time. We have same-day onboarding available. We've really tried to make this as seamless as possible. So go to porto.signup.anchorage.com. Maybe that's a little bit of a mouthful. You can also find it from our website, anchorage.com, or you can DM Anchorage or Uniswap on X, and we'll be absolutely happy to assist in pretty much real time. So once again, gentlemen, it's been a true pleasure. Already looking forward to the next one and an even closer partnership in the future. Have a great rest of
Thanks,
your
Justin.
day.
Thanks, Justin. This is
Take
great.
care.
Thanks, Boaz.